Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you may be. I sincerely pray that all is well with you and yours. This is M.A. Truth, and welcome to my show called What the What? What? What the What? It's my way of saying what the, you know. Oh my goodness, do we not have enough sugar honey iced tea going on in our world today? I mean, it's everything. We've got pandemic, we have shutdowns, we have openings, and we have economic disasters from coast to coast all over everywhere. And of course, we have the emperor has no clothes on in the White House. God help us all. I want to address a couple of things today, and I'm not going to stay on here too long, but I just want to drop these thoughts, and hopefully, it'll resonate with someone, and you can carry it on and maybe touch somebody else. This is my opinion. It's not etched in stone. So for those who can, kind of feel where I'm at, kudos, that's great. And like I said, I hope you take it and touch somebody else with it. And for those who don't agree, that's fine. I'm not asking anybody to agree with me. I'm asking you to simply think. Open your minds and think for yourselves. Don't let entities and circumstances and situations and institutions and people of celebrity lead you around by the nose. Think for yourselves, please. Think for yourselves. Think of what opening these schools are doing to our children. Think. I mean, seriously. You're going to disinfect the desks, the chairs. You're going to put up little partitions around the chairs, but you're still going to have 25, 30 kids in a room. Think mothers, dads, grandparents, uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, whoever you are, and you've got a relation that's going into one of these environments. Do you really, really believe in your heart that they're safe? These children going into these environments are being affected by others. You don't know if they're being affected by another child or by an adult, for that matter. And everybody's taking this bullshit home with them to infect a family member, okay? Could even infect a pet. I know wasn't too long ago I read where an animal at a zoo was found to have COVID-19. I mean, really? Seriously? Anything is possible, right? Anything is possible. But there is no such thing as a safe environment. From what I've been hearing from the talking heads on television and on YouTube and on Instagram and everywhere else we have social media, this virus is in the air. How can you possibly get away from it? And if you're in a closed environment, it's like, come on, people. This shit's hanging out in the air ducts and stuff, okay? Waiting to attach itself to somebody. And they can take that crap home with him. There is no school environment that's going to be safe for our children. My children are grown. They're adult. They're well adults, okay? My son's children are young adults. They're in their late teens, early 20s. And my daughter has a 2.5-year-old. Fortunately, he's at home with us, but there's no way in hell he would be going anywhere. Nowhere. Because there is no place, there is no building that can be considered safe. Okay? There just isn't. So, with that being said, Let us move on to the idiot in the White House. There is something seriously wrong with this man. I saw on MSNBC a day or two ago where he was quoted as saying that this virus was around. Now let me get that straight. I don't think he was talking about this virus. I think he said, no, he was speaking about the flu pandemic back in the 1800s was over with in 1945 when World War II ended. The flu pandemic of the 1800s ended when World War II ended in 1945. Help me somebody. People, that's why I say think. Think for yourselves. If you have any type of mother wit within you, that's called, mother wit's called common sense. But if you got an ounce, you cannot seriously consider electing this asshole. You really can't. I'm sorry. You just can't. This man is responsible for the millions, hundreds of thousands that have died and the millions that have contracted this particular virus that we're suffering with now. Protocols had been put in place prior to his coming into office. He chose to ignore them, primarily because they were initiated under President Obama. Now, President Obama was not a perfect man. There is no perfect man. But he did the best that he could under the circumstances, since the Senate, Moscow Mitch, and Leningrad Lindsey Graham decided to fight him every step of the way. He wasn't the one-term president that they were hell-bent on making him to be. He made the 2 terms, in spite of them. But their antics, their hatefulness towards the people of this country has all but decimated us, has killed everything. And they support this idiot. And for whatever reason, I don't believe that they're afraid of him. If anything, they're afraid of the powers behind him. Okay? That's what that's about. They're not afraid of Trump in and of himself, because he ain't sugar, honey, iced tea. It's those that are behind him, those others that are supporting him, those foreign entities that are keeping this fool in this position. I bet you $1 to a donut, after we come out of this particular mess, it might not be maybe for another 10, 15, might even be 20 years before we find out that this man was not duly elected. He wasn't elected. He certainly didn't get the popular vote, which most Americans are aware of. But he got in there falsely, illegitimately. And we have been subjected to this illegitimate idiot for the past 3-point-something years, okay? It is my hope and desire that our people wake up. People, wake up. Wake up. Open your eyes, your spiritual eyes, and see what's happening. This is not a perfect country by any stretch of the imagination. It was built on deceit and selfishness. A people came here, put their foot on this land, and slaughtered the native peoples of this land, of this North American continent. They traversed from the east to the west and decimated everything in front of them, destroyed it, and have built this monstrosity they call corporate America. There was a time I recall being told by my grandmother where people may have been considered poor, but they didn't know it. Because they all had food, they all had clothes, they bartered for things. You know, somebody needed something, they bartered, they traded off goods for another, for assistance, for help in some kind of way. Nobody really lacked anything, okay? But we've got a class of people here now, a fraction, who own everything in this country, while the majority, the rest of us, are subservient to them. We struggle from day to day. Even those successful small mom and pop stores, industries, whatever you want to call them, they struggle. They're not as big as they could be because the corporations got everything on lockdown. It's an unfair system. It's an unequal system, and it needs to be destroyed. I'm with Biden. Let's rebuild this shit, You can't make it better until you take out what's wrong. And somebody somewhere along the line has to be willing to do so. That's just my thought on the matter. Now, with regards to Kamala Harris being selected as the VP to Biden, I think it's a great choice. Honestly, I think it's the only choice he had. Not to say that there weren't other great women of influence, of education, of stature that he could have pulled from, but during these times that we are living in, she's the best choice. I'm glad he picked her. He most assuredly has my vote. So, those are my thoughts on the subjects. Kick it around. Debate it amongst yourselves. And like I said before, think. Use your heads and think. We, the people, have been butt fucked with no grease. Okay? It's time for the idiocy to stop. That's all I'm saying. Time for it to stop. It's past time, but it's time that we, the people, stand up and make our voices heard. Those that have been elected decade after decade after decade, it's time for them to go. We need new blood in the halls of Congress and the Senate. We need new ideas, okay? We need people who can think about what's happening right now, today, and how to apply the technologies that we have to benefit us now, today. And as far as educating our children, there are other ways to educate. Institutionalized education is not education. When you think about it, it's not. It's teaching you to do a certain thing a certain way, to speak a certain way, to look a certain way, because that's what the society feels you should do. That's not education. Education is learning about your heart and how you can love and treat those around you. Being made aware of the full story, not just his story. Not that. We are finding out more and more every day that those tales that have been vomited up throughout the decades, history, have been lies. It's time to dig and get the truth of it. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. That's what they used to call it. Yeah, teach that. Teach that. But as far as knowing the foundations of this nation and the worlds around us, know the truth of what it is. Anyway, this is MA Truth. I'm going to be out for a minute. Oh, not too long. Not too long. We'll be talking again. Anyway, clothed in my right mind, still. And yes, I yet have the full activities of my limbs. That's an old church saying. I like it. That's why I say it. Because that's the truth of who I am. I am clothed in my right mind because I can critically think. And I do have the full activity of my limbs. I can walk, I can talk, I can use my hands. That's what that means. I can get around. I can touch somebody somewhere. Perhaps I even touched you today. Again, this is MA Truth. Thank you for listening to What the What. I'm out.